Hello everyone and welcome back to another Train Sim World 3 roadmap update. This is the May roadmap update as of the 3rd of May, 2nd of May actually, 2023. So let's take a look at what is included with the roadmap. Let me scroll all the way back up and then we can have a little look. But yes, it's not the busiest of ones, but there's still quite a bit exciting stuff. So let's have a look. Let's see. So the the summary section. A quick summary for those who don't want to go through the whole article. There are more details on all these points within the roadmap. So we've got a new UK route, that being the Glossop line, which is Manchester to Hadfield and Glossop. That will be cool to see, as I've only ever done the 1970s version in the very old, I think class, is it 50? Is it 506 or something? It's a really old one. New German loco added to the roadmap, Spirit of Steam improvements patch, a closer look at banking comms on Peak Forest, Trent and timetable improvements, third-party updates, inside development, and a new format for roadmap listings. Ooh. Okay, so the roadmap. Hello and welcome to May's Train Sim World roadmap. Thanks as ever for joining us. We've got lots of interesting and exciting content to talk to you about. But before we get into that, we wanted to review the past couple of months. So March and April. Before we get into May's content though, we thought it was important to kick off by reviewing what has been a busy last couple of months with some real high points, as well as some areas we'd like to improve moving forward. Some releases have been really well received, I think Nidatel Barn probably being the top one there, while some have not hit the consistency or quality bar we expect. We are a business and our staff rely on us to support them, whilst you in return rely on us to be able to have an enjoyable experience within our games. It's a tough balance sometimes, and sometimes we get it right and sometimes we don't. We endeavour to provide the best experience we can, and that's what we'll continue to do. We don't get it right all the time, but we will work our hardest to bring you value for your time and money. We will discuss some of these ideas in future roadmaps, but here are a few things we're implementing in the near future to improve our offerings in the long term. Okay, so a standardised list of features for all first-party and third-party content, with a renewed focus from our QA team on ensuring these features are included before a project is signed off. Yeah, that would be cool. You know, GSMR, bits like that, CIS, PIS, all sort of standardised. A focus on squeezing as much gameplay from content as we are able to, reviewing and expanding our beta communities, expanding our production team to provide more focus and rigour on add-on development, building an internal focus group of dedicated Train Sim World players to better inform our plans moving forward. And we got after Peak Forest release on May the 9th, the Spirit of Steam patch, which updates Steam physics and fixes the AI SPAD issue. We have a break in content for a little while, giving us an opportunity to review our catalogue and improve areas we have had the capability and resources we can do. They'll be focusing on releasing post-release improvements to Linker, Rheinstrecker, Nidatal Barn, Bremen Oldenburg and the Midland Main Line, getting HST Livery Designer released with the Great Western Express patch, a partner program release featuring the first selection of Midland Mainline improvements, as well as assorted improvements to the 1938 tube stock, Island Line, West Cornwall Local and a Rosa line, improving and testing add-ons manager in preparation for Xbox and PC platform release. And it says, as a quick note, not all of this stuff might release before the next roadmap update, but preparation work will be done to try and ensure it's out as soon as possible. The team will also be working on bolstering the Northeast Corridor New York Trenton timetable with Joe Burgess and the team working hard on improving the gameplay opportunities on the route, as well as reviewing the Peninsula Corridor missing baby bullet services and an outstanding Train Sim World 2 patch. We announced last month that we want to celebrate our new owners, Focus Entertainment, and apparently they'll be making their French DLC free in May. And we are planning that players will be able to download LGV Mediterranean for free between May the 26th and June the 2nd on all platforms, and they're just waiting on confirmation from Microsoft. So that'll be cool then. So I don't know about Steam. Is that gonna be the same time or not sure, but yeah. So we've got upcoming content. So the Glossop line. and they've added a route map which you can probably see on the screen now. Featuring the Northern Class 323 updated appropriately, the first time Northern have featured within Train Sim World. This is a fantastic, self-contained and fully complete route travelling into modern-day Manchester and arriving into a different terminus than Northern Transpennine, because this one goes into Manchester Piccadilly instead of Manchester Victoria. Formerly part of the Woodhead line before it closes in the BR era, it also features again for the first time in Train Sim World, a unique operation with a triangle junction where you can change track ends at Glossop to head to Hadfield. For those who want to take the 323 on a spin up north or who haven't experienced it yet in the Birmingham Cross City, this will be right up your track, and we'll share more including lovely screenshots and videos closer to release. Okay. German Loco. We've added a German Loco to the roadmap and more details will be available in the future. Alright then. And then we've got a New York Trenton updated timetable. We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You want more services. We underestimated the complexities of the signalling systems within the route, and this led us to be able to spend less time than we would like on the timetable. So whilst the team have been beavering away in the background working on this, we wanted to have progress to a certain point before sharing it with you and putting it on the roadmap. We spoke to Joe about the work that's been undertaken so far, and this timetable is based on the real NJT timetable and Amtrak timetable as of 2019. You've also been lucky to access the diagrams of NJT that detail which train equipment does each group services. The level of detail is like the 387 and 395 timetables on the BML and South Eastern High Speed, albeit we do not have all the correct stock. If a train doesn't have a service running, it simply gets added as an ALP 46 plus MLs. Right, okay. Anyway, at least we had the full Amtrak timetable, including, again, services we don't have correct coaches for. Acela trains will stop at Trenton for the sake of being playable. For NJT, we had 120 services. Okay, so I think that's just going back over to what we did have at release. And how the timetable working looks as of right now. Full Amtrak and Acela as with release. These services may be slightly different now and more delays due to the increased NJT traffic. Full electric NJT timetable is now complete with a few late trains that are being fixed simulated as I type this, and does not include the Arrow 3 Princeton Junction to Princeton AI or diesel equipment out of Newark Penn Hoboken, and no AI traffic at Secaucus Junction. Right, okay, and it will now be the largest US timetable in Train Sim World. Cool. Spirit of Steam improvements patch. To coincide with the release next week, we will also be addressing some of your feedback for Liverpool Crew, coming in a pre-release patch update, and we aim for this to be released later this week. So some of the current list of improvements to Steam. Physics updates at 8F and Jubilee, Jubilee introduction and really reliable rescue and the tables have turned scenario should now be completable. Derailments when coupling to wagons in Edge Hill should be fixed. Derailments when going up a steep bank near Edge Hill signal box should be fixed. Gold medal now achievable in bovine blockage scenario. Reduction in volume of safety valves because they're really noisy. AI locos causing spads. Fixed headlights not showing on AI Jubilees and fixed scenario planner formations. So that loaded wagons don't face empty wagons. All of the physics improvements will be ported to both Spirit of Steam and West Cornwall Local Steam Rail Tour, and they'll be on day one for Peak Forest. We're also currently investigating what causes Farman to intermittently vanish. We believe we have a fix, but as it's a core game improvement, it will require a more rigorous testing before release. And manual firing is still in the process of being scoped out, so will not be part of this update. We are also investigating intermittent running sounds for AI locos, but it's unlikely these will come with this update. We also hope to get the promised Loco add-on bundle improvements, including the new scenario for the German pack and changes to the US pack to update the trailer designs to be more prototypical of American trailers, and adding more scenario planner formations using truck trailers and centre beams. Right, okay then. So a little more detail on Steam improvements. We've recalculated the valve gear events using the new engineering features available to us. Previously, the valve gear opened instantly. Now we track both the start of opening and end of opening separately. This changes the player's performance quite dramatically. You get less steam through the valves as they are open less for most of their travel, particularly at low cutoff. This means you tend to drive with a higher cutoff percentage. What you could pull at 20% cutoff before, you now need 30% to achieve. And also changes the drafting on the fire, particularly at low speeds. The steam flow is smoother and occurs over a longer time, meaning you can now achieve a sustained performance at low speeds. Okay, if anyone could understand any of that, if you're a steam person, then yeah, that's something there. Peak Forest, Ambergate, Chinley and Buxton. Coming next Tuesday, our second steam route comes to Train Sim World, a world apart from the industrial powerhouse of Liverpool to Crewe. Peak Forest offers a more scenic, tranquil opportunity to enjoy 1960s Derbyshire during the beginning of the end of the steam era, using banking operations to negotiate inclines with extremely heavy locomotives. We asked Michael from our gameplay team to give you an insight into the world of banking, which is brand new to Train Sim. Well, it's not brand new to Train Sim World because it was with Main Spec Out Barn. Unless it means steam banking. But yeah, banking's been around since Main Spec Out Barn. Banking in the Peak Forest. The role of a banker is to provide more power on steep inclines by being added to the rear of trains. We knew you wanted to implement banking operations early in development, and since it's necessary to allow heavy freight up the steep inclines on this route. Our implementation of it in-game is a close representation of how they would have done these operations back in the day. Drivers would have been given notice of when their train would require banking on the route before starting work. Once they have collected limestone hoppers from Tunstead Quarry, they wait to be assisted by another locomotive, and you can see a 4F in one of the screenshots. The banking locomotive will push from the rear of the train, and we have coupled it to our formations to allow for information to be shared across the train. Okay, once again, the driver of the 8F blows the whistle accordingly. Okay, so that's another screenshot. So yeah, you'll see the screenshots going through. So banking coming. You would have seen this process regularly across the line. If a train exceeded the maximum load, they would have required banking across this section of the route. When creating these services, there are a lot of dependencies on both the mainline freight and shunting services to allow for efficient running of the two. This took a bit of trial and error to get right, but we're happy the way it's turned out. And there are many banking services included in the route timetable, as well as a scenario, breaking the bank, which includes it too. And if banking hasn't whetted your appetite enough, here's a short breakdown of the playable services included in the timetable. Local and stopping express passenger services with the Jubilee and Mark 1s, limestone quarry shunting and banking of the 8F, 4F and ICI hoppers, yard shunting services with the 4F and various freight wagons, local freight with the 8F and light loco services including all locomotives. With release, there will be 110 playable services and approximately 140 AI services covering the variety of operations above. With this release, we focused on a variety of gameplay options, which we hope will provide a more diverse experience. Okay, lovely, and this is exciting. Thameslink Class 700-0. Not much new to report of the Class 700, but here's a picture of the interior of the cab for you to wet your whistles with, and that actually does look quite a nice cab. I mean, if you compare it to the Train Sim Classic one, we have reduced length unit stickers there. You can see the RLU. You can even see, I think is that the HMI? Or is that the DMI? Well, I think it's a DMI screen. Sort of the 700 is equivalent to the TMS, which you can see on the left there of the speedometer. So it's nice to see that working. Yeah, it looks really quite nice. You can't see the cameras working there on the left, but I suppose would they when you're not at a station? Not sure. But yeah, that looks actually like a really nice cab. So looking forward to driving that on Train Sim World. But yeah, as I said, looks really nice. A progress summary on the core improvements the teams have been working on. This month we have a quick add-ons manager update, HST delivery design functionality, blah blah blah. So add-ons manager, we are currently testing Xbox add-ons manager. We've been experiencing some crashing issues with the current build, so our engineering team will be taking another look at it. And once Xbox is out, we will turn our attention to PC platforms. HST liveries. This is the Great Western one, which everybody wants a livery designer on. Whilst we weren't able to bring you this to you with the Midland Main Line, we believe this should be released in a patch later this month. Peninsula Corridor and Oakfield Corridor baby billet services, nothing to report on. Right, okay then. TSW2 Preservation Crew releases and nothing further on this one from last month. Right, okay then. Let's see, patches, and let's just go through what we've had this month. Okay, right, upcoming patches. Local add-on bundle 2, Lincoln Rhinestrecker, Niedertal Barn and Bremen Oldenburg. So these are patches which are on the way. Third-party developer updates, Skyhook Games. Let's have a look. After the release of Midland Mainline, the Skyhook team are reviewing your feedback from the content. Jane, their Chief Technical Officer, has started a thread providing an introduction as well as sharing updates on post-release patch progress. Here's a quick summary of the areas of focus. Expanding the timetable, whole new freight services, major route re-signalling, because you've got like double green lights and stuff, numerous environment fixes and updates, station updates to add additional realism, multiple bridges remodelled from scratch, city updates to add in more bespoke buildings, so the Velodrome, Pride Park, significant functionality updates to the Class 158, I wonder what that could be, multiple performance updates, re-adding the removed freight service and RHTT Southeastern High Speed services, address the issue where NPCs get stuck in the doorway, updated vehicle coupling and logic, and addressing issues with the HST set, including system functionality and unit numbers. Just Trains, here we go. Many of you know that Just Trains have a proven track record with our very detailed, accurate, high quality and great looking routes for Train Sim Classic, and those same qualities are coming brilliantly alive with our first route for Train Sim World. The Just Trains team are working very hard and are solely dedicated on this, our first route for this platform. Nice. Building any route has had very many individual elements that need to be brought together, but to recap, so far we've completed 26 miles of scenery with around 20 miles left to go, so we're pleased to say our project is over half complete. Our environment artists are busy bringing the virtual world to life, and our team of asset builders are creating superb, realistic looking objects such as signal boxes, distinctive buildings, churches, as well as many other stations ranging from simple platform to end of route termini that will allow you to stop at when you're driving. And progress on the train that will be coming with the route is coming along at a pace and is looking excellent. All of this will ensure that your driving experience has the correct look and feel. That word there is coming along at a pace. Why would they use that word, coming along at a pace? I don't know. But yeah, coming along at a pace and is looking excellent. I think that might have just said what the train is there, but just the way they've used that wording there, coming along at a pace. They could have said, coming along all right, coming along well, but a pace just sounds a bit, Inside development, how we use the LiDAR scanning for our landscape. This is one of the sort of developer interviews. So the world of developing a simulation game, reference material is super important, particularly when it comes to vast expanses of land. In the next instalment of our Inside Development series, we spoke to Lucas, our senior technical producer, who told us how we're starting to how we are starting to use more granular data to better represent real life terrain in TSW. Early in my career working on Train Sim World, I searched for better ways to get accurate height data for track beds in countries like Germany, where public information does not include good gradient data for railway lines. This brought me to LiDAR terrain. But what is LiDAR terrain? LiDAR terrain is nothing else than terrain data that has been laser scanned via plane, often done by each state or country themselves. It continues to replace data provided by NASA, which provided the basis for Train Sim Classic and Train Sim World route development. This was roughly 40 to 50 meters accuracy, which allows to build on roughly the correct height, but is nowhere near that of the LiDAR scanning. Here we can get closer to 50 centimeters, which is already lower than our terrain grid in Train Sim World, which sports 2 meters. Okay, you got some screenshots as well, which you can see. After starting to use this data to get information for track laying and with other further increase in free sources for LiDAR, especially after a push from the European Parliament to make it available as open data, we started looking into how we can use this more extensively for route building and for our terrain. The main problem was that everyone uses different formats and filtering. While a lot of countries provided filtered data that removes buildings and trees from the data, some will not. This requires fairly expensive programs to filter the data for our use. The bigger problem is presented by the variety of formats and coordinate systems. These are important since global reference systems are not accurate enough. It would have taken years to make Unreal Engine work with all of these, so I need to filter and convert them beforehand. This is where we turn to an open source software called QGIS, which provides all of the tools. The source data, often 100 gigabytes and more, is merged into a big file where it is then reprojected into the coordinate system we use inside TrainSim World and then tiled into hundreds of pieces. These are then imported into our custom extension for the Unreal editor to be imported into our routes. Since the source format and system are often very different, it takes time to figure out the right way to do it every time. The first time we properly used this feature was for the Talander Rampe, which is Dresden Chemnitz, especially its Valley Run benefited a lot from this technique. Some countries like the UK are not yet finished in fully surveying their land. Here is what we only get spotty data, but even partial data is still better than going back to 50-metre accuracy. And who can guess what the route is in one of the screenshots you would have seen? No idea. I'm sure it's probably one of them, but don't know actually, not too sure. But yeah, there is a thing there you can see. Since the data amounts are quite big, the process can take up to 2 days, but it's all worth it. Next to the fact that routes are much closer to reality, it also makes the life of our route builders much simpler. They don't spend ages sculpturing terrain and can place houses directly onto their real foundations. The track layers can also see the difference now where there is no LiDAR. It shows gradient changes and other details perfectly and often shows the track bed more accurately than the likes of Google Maps, which would never do. In future, okay, yeah, I was just going to say they could do more. Well, that was a long old roadmap, wasn't it? Well, it's okay, it's Dovetail Games releases. I know you got, yes, Dovetail Games releases, Glossop Line, Class 700, German Loco and Peak Forest, Partner Program, UK Route, DBR 420. And yeah, but that's really about it for this roadmap. So yeah, do comment below, what did you think? Links can be found in the usual places, Discord, PayPal, merch store. Apart from that, thanks for coming in, and I hopefully will see you next time. See you all. Take care. Bye, guys.